Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CFL Weekly Show. It is myself, Shane, alongside Cole and Blake, and it is the last regular season episode of 2025 as we enter Week 21. It's crazy that it's been 6 months almost since the start of the regular season. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling going into the final week? I know there's a lot. There's still a lot to play for this week, and we'll get into it. But man, crazy. How you guys feeling about it?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. Like for our BC Lions, their path could potentially be settled before they even kick off. But I'd say the more likely scenario is that literal final game of the regular season between the Lions and the Rough Riders is going to mean something, at least to the BC Lions, not necessarily to the Rough Riders. But there's like three games at least that have the potential of meaning something, potentially all four if one of the Friday games doesn't exactly work out. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's definitely crazy. I've been thinking the last couple of days, like the Leafs have been falling. Like here in Vancouver, we seem to start to get our typical fall weather. It's been raining a lot more the last couple of weeks. Today was like, I don't know about you over on the island, Cole, but today was the definition of like here in Vancouver, we have a saying, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. That happened like three times. Like it was sunny and then it like poured rain and then it went back to sunny, which was super weird. But yeah, there's a bunch of leaves on the ground. Even like the CJFL, I know we're gonna talk about it. U Sports playoffs, high school playoffs are coming up. Like we're getting towards the end of the season for everything already, and it's kind of sad to think that in just a few short weeks we're not gonna have any baseball because of course our Blue Jays are on a magical run right now, and football is gonna be done, and we're just kind of gonna be left with hockey and basketball.
NFL as well too, Blake. But
True, true.
I will say it is bittersweet. As I mentioned to you guys a little bit off camera this time of year. But as Shane did mention last week, and it is kind of starting to get to my thought process starting to get maybe in the right direction with once we do end the season, you kind of start to take that little bit of a break away maybe for Christmas, and then it's like right into draft prep and free agency prep. So obviously bittersweet because the season is coming to end, but before you know it, we'll be obviously probably back doing some shows maybe once a month or whatever it maybe look like in the off season, talking about free agency and all that stuff. And hopefully we're all able to maybe make it out to the combine like we were expecting or hoping. But yeah, it's always crazy how fast and people say it. I feel like when we were younger, we didn't believe necessarily adults when they talk about enjoy where you are right now because once you get older, the time starts to go faster and faster as the years go by, and that definitely you can definitely feel that as we start to age here, as I'm going to be 29 in 2 months, which is crazy to think about as I track down 30. But just super bittersweet that we're here, but definitely sweeter that the BC Lions are in position to. It's crazy that they could be obviously with a home playoff game, or they could fall as far to cross over into the East. So obviously sweet because, in my opinion, maybe not to speak for Blake, but 6 weeks ago I didn't see this coming. So kind of written the team off after some of their struggles, and to be here and to have basically control of your own destiny going into the last week of regular season, to have somebody come into your home, and I feel like they're playing at, obviously with the power rankings having them number one to end the regular season is crazy to think where we were 6 weeks ago compared to now. So excited to see where we are come the end of Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of crazy, kind of wild ride. A lot of fun on this series this year. Obviously, continuing it off from last year. But man, last week still a lot up to grabs. Starting Friday, um, with with Ottawa heading to win or to Hamilton. Hamilton has a chance to clinch first in the East with a win. Um, Calgary goes to Edmonton with a chance to put themselves in a favorable spot to potentially host the West semis. Uh, Montreal can be a meaningless game, can be a meaningful game, depending on what happens in Hamilton. And then obviously BC and Saskatchewan ends everything off for the regular season this weekend. And you know what? I'm really happy. I know a couple of years ago or last couple of years, it seems like the final, like the playoffs and the playoff positioning have kind of been like set heading into the last like 2-3 weeks of the season. It's nice that going into the final week, there's still so much up for play outside of Saskatchewan. That's like the only lock. So much up to grabs right now. It's a nice little different feeling than we've had in previous years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
for sure. It's like last year, I know that Saskatchewan and Winnipeg were fighting for first in the West in that first round bye. But of course, like Winnipeg, much similar to this year, played Montreal as well. That game was in Montreal. In the early game, I guess the penultimate game of the regular season, and when Winnipeg won, that Saskatchewan Calgary game, which was the last game of the regular season, meant nothing. And the Riders ended up having a bunch of what they called game time decisions, depending on what had happened out in Montreal. And with Winnipeg winning, they sat a bunch of guys out. And a Calgary team that was not good last year, that missed the playoffs, ended up beating the Riders handily in quite a boring game. So for the last game of the regular season to have some sort of meaning, no matter what happens, is I think it can only be a good thing for the CFL.
Very much so. But before we jump into last week's games, because I think we all have a little bit to talk about, jump into some U Sports and CJFL news. Obviously, this week we have the PCFC championship between Saskatoon and Regina, which I think everyone kind of saw coming, and then the semifinal in Kelowna with the Okanagan Sun and St. Clair Saints. And I did not realize how much banter that matchup was going to have this week on social media. A lot of Saints versus Sun, trying to say which team is better, which team is, you know, going to win. Doesn't sound like anyone thinks it's going to be a close game one way or another, but that's happening on Saturday. Rematch of 2024 Canadian Bowl, and then Sunday will be Saskatoon versus Regina. Um, you guys are out. You guys have seen Okanagan plenty of times. What should people be watching? What are some of the pros of Okanagan that is different than last year? Because last year they kind of got handed pretty easily by St. Clair. Can Okanagan beat them? Like, is it going to be a close game, or is this going to be another game where St. Clair can just run the table after putting up 54 points against Hamilton in a 54-0 win last week?
Yeah, I think last year's final score kind of was a little bit different than the way that game really played out. I know it was a 37, I believe 23 final. Looks like a two-score victory for St. Clair. Looked like St. Clair kind of controlled the matchup. If watching back the game, Okanagan went to the locker room, I believe, with a 8 point, could have been a two-score lead going into the half last year, and kind of really just forgot their mojo in the locker room. Like I don't know what else kind of to say, for lack of a better term, in the second half, and kind of things got away from them. What I would say about Okanagan compared to last year, with watching the conference much more this year, I would say is probably they're arguably the most complete team. Like not even in the country, I would say maybe even in CGFL history. When looking at some of their numbers, obviously you guys know with working for the conference and stuff like that. Just kind of trying to do like a little bit of stuff for some graphics that later this week. Second in CGFL history for points in a season during the regular season. Only other team that had more points than them, 2011 Vancouver Island Raiders with 500, I think 50 or something like that in the regular season. I know Shane, you put together the 12 total games or points per or points for, excuse me. But during the regular season, 61 touchdowns as a team. I believe that's fourth all time in CGFL history. I think it's like 38 total turnovers when it comes to interceptions, turnover on downs, and fumbles, 30 plus sacks. You look at last year's team, and it was kind of more Eliwan Noah centric, who obviously was a fantastic player. He's also a player that broke like all of Reggie Bush's high school records, came up here. Believe he broke most of Andrew Harris's records last year, rushing for Okanagan. So he obviously departures in his fifth and final year. They also obviously lose Jacob Baum to the BC Lions this season, and really haven't missed a beat, losing the two best players on their team. I think because they're more complete as a team. They obviously get the imports that have really helped off the edge in Jarvion, Jaquintis, 12 and 11 sacks each. So I really think with talking with Coach Miller, I'm actually going to talk with Coach Miller. That's why I kind of have to semi get out of here at like 7:30 sharp tonight and kind of chat about the matchup a little bit more. Um, I think they're more of a complete team than last year, in my opinion. As I said, was just kind of they were more of a one-man team on offense. They also kind of went through a two quarterback kind of system last year, and I feel like the saying of like if you have two quarterbacks, you kind of have none because you're going back and forth between one of them. Obviously, one of them stayed in Liam Kruger, but they lost their rookie of the year, who was Malik Farapek. He ended up going up to Shane's neck of the woods. I believe he's at University of Ottawa right now. And they kind of gave the keys to Liam coming in the regular season. But they went out for U Sports receivers. As I mentioned, the imports coming off the edge, import in the secondary at DB and Glenn Kaduya. I think this is going to be a really good game, in my opinion, with not having much experience, not much. I shouldn't even say not much. I haven't watched St. Clair a lick this year, other than just highlights, Instagram, stuff like that. To be honest, have been pretty locked in with the BCFC and in that this season. So St. Clair is a very talented team. As obviously we've seen, they're putting up very gaudy numbers in the OFC. I would tend to lean towards that. I believe the BCFC is much stronger from top to bottom than the OFC, and I don't think that's very much of a hot take. But St. Clair, especially with what Shane's talked about in the past, right, with their college ties and stuff like that, they've been able to build themselves in. And I believe only, I don't know when their existence, if it was before or after COVID, but they were actually the Windsor AKO Fratman, correct, Shane? I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, their history is a little interesting, but yeah, they basically replaced the Windsor AKO Frackman.
Yeah, because that's what they well, at least anyways in their broadcast and on their home field, they have the banners for those championships as well for '99. Excuse me, I think one results is when it was in the '60s. They also said last year when they won the championship, the first time St. Clair's won since 1999, which is when they were Windsor. Fun fact as well, these two teams actually have quite a bit of history as well. They played in the 1999 Canadian Bowl, which Windsor actually won. So that's what, as I mentioned, the announcer mentioned last week. They also played not only in last year's Canadian Bowl, they played back in 2022 in this exact game in the CGFL semifinal. Just it was out in Ontario. So they also that '99 game. The three times these two teams have played, it's all been in Ontario. So this will be the first matchup that's out west, and as well as watching Okanagan play in the playoffs. Home field is played into their favor in both matchups, not only because teams are traveling to the Apple and stuff like that, because the grass or because the field is grass and it's, as Blake mentioned, it's fall or it's nearing winter here in BC. It's raining every other day, if not every day. So the field's going to be slick. The field will be very tough to get some traction. I would imagine that'll play into the favor of the home team, obviously being able to sleep in their own beds. Don't have to travel across the country as well. So I'm expecting a good game. Obviously, I'm biased, so I'm going to put my chips towards Okanagan, but I wouldn't be surprised if St. Clair as well punched their ticket to another national championship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
so
sorry, Shane,
sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt. It was just more in regards to the St. Clair Windsor Frackman. Um, so the Frackmen were sold in 2014. They then became a partnership with the St. Clair College at that point, but I believe they were still called the Fratmen. Um, and then in 2020, they were sold to the St. Clair College Student Athletic Association, and then were rebranded, from my understanding, to the St. Clair Fratmen, or like
Officially,
St. Clair football.
makes sense.
Interesting, but yeah, there's not much that I can say that can top Cole. I know, of course, he's been a lot closer to the conference than I have. Unfortunately, due to work and Lions and some other stuff, I wasn't even able to get out to a Langley Rams game this year, which upset me quite a bit. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I saw the numbers that you put out, Shane, and like they're almost St. Clair and Okanagan are almost identical. Like they're only separated by I want to say it was like 20 or less points in points for the regular season and playoffs. I believe it was almost dead even in points against for regular season and playoffs. And home field advantage is huge for the Okanagan Sun, and that revenge factor is huge. Like all the guys that were there last year knows what it feel like to fall short. Like they were that much closer because they won the this exact game, but it was in the prairies against the Regina Thunder. So they had a chance to win the national championship and they couldn't do it. So they're going to want to get their chance at revenge against the St. Clair Saints. And then whether it's Regina or Saskatoon in the Canadian Bowl, Regina they've already beat. And I trust that the Okanagan Sun think that they can beat the Saskatoon Hilltops as well. So it's going to be a great matchup from the Apple Bowl on Saturday. I'm really excited to see it. I know I had a couple of bold predictions in the CJFL playoffs. Neither one of them came through. PG didn't upset West Shore. Winnipeg didn't upset the Saskatoon Hilltops. But like these are the four best teams. These are the teams that should be competing for the national championship. So bold predictions aside, like I'm not too unhappy that these are the four teams that are going to play for the national championship. It should be two excellent games this weekend from the Apple Bowl on Saturday, and then the Thunder are going to get to play the PFC championship at Mosaic on Sunday again. So that's a always a fun thing for them to do. I mean, I'm sure Libel's a good field, but there's nothing like going to Mosaic for a PFC final, the fifth in a row. And I saw that if you don't include COVID, it's technically the 17th PFC final in a row between Regina and Saskatoon. So there's not much to separate those two teams. They were dead even in points against each other this year, both with a 3-point win in the opposition's home field. Regina Saskatoon came to Mosaic early in the year, beat the Thunder by a field goal. Regina returned the favor in Saskatoon about a month ago, and it was just that Rifles loss early in the season that allowed the Thunder to host this game instead of the Saskatoon Hilltops.
Yeah, one last thing before we can move on from the CJFL. I'm going to be curious to say I will maybe a little PSA if Jacob Vaughn's watching. I would say put away the phone, young man. You'll be able to check the score after the game because I think it's going to be pretty close to interlocking, I believe, if it's not. I believe the
Yeah,
yeah,
the
what time
semifinal
does the
starts at 1 and the Lions game's at 4 our time, so
what
it'll be
what time would
pretty
that be
close to
sat?
done by kickoff.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be unfortunate because the most important time he should be locked in, but we'll see what happens.
It should be really good. I mean, great football. But yeah, moving on from CJFL into U Sports as their playoffs start for the Road to the Vanier Cup.
OUA playoff start.
Yes, OUA playoffs start this week. RSCQ, Canada West, and I think AUS also continue on this week.
Yeah, next
Uh,
week everyone starts playoffs.
yeah, it's because I mean you have 11 teams in the OUA, so you get one. There's one longer week. Um, so do OUA first, just because it is the playoffs.
What a week in the OUA. What a week.
Man, Carleton shot themselves in the foot. You needed a win to get in, and you lose off of a game-winning field goal. To be fair, they didn't deserve to win that game, anyways.
Yeah, but Shane, so I'm sure you know, but can I add that to that for some of the viewers? So
Yeah,
Carlton took the lead. I believe it was 41-40 late in the game, like with about a minute left. McMaster drove for the game-winning field goal, which they ultimately missed on the first attempt. It went through the back of the end zone, so it would have been a rouge, and the game tying field rouge that sent the game to overtime. But and I know Coach Phil's not here yet, possibly at all, so I can say this. But Carlton pulled the 2009 Saskatchewan Roughriders, had too many men on the field. They moved it up 10 yards, and McMaster knocked it through to punch their ticket to the playoffs.
Yeah, but to be fair, they should never have been. Like they play. I think they were down to like 13 or 14 at some point during the game, like early in the second quarter, I believe. But Guelph squeaks in with the win. Not really sure how much of an extra game they're going in. They get to go down to Windsor and play McMaster, or not McMaster, Western. They go down to London. I don't know why I said Windsor, but down to London to play Western. Windsor's hosting Ottawa. Queens is hosting McMaster, and Laurier gets the bye. And Laurier kicked the crap out of Western. Like it wasn't even close.
Felt to ass.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the score. 60-13. Absolutely like disgraceful for Western.
I think they're clear-cut best team in the country.
Oh yeah. Especially after that
has to be.
performance.
Ethan Jordan, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
He might enter the best receiver ever in U Sports conversation.
Close to it.
He'll throw his name in the conversation. There's only one.
He's
I
definitely.
think there's less than 20 U Sports players ever to break 1,000 yards receiving. He's in a back-to-back. There must be like less than 5.
If he was to go into this year's draft, you're probably looking at a guy who gets picked in like the top 2 rounds versus someone who gets picked in like round 6.
Yeah, which
like
is crazy.
I mean, he just hit 1,000 last year, but back-to-back 1,000-yard years, 10 touchdowns. He averaged 133 yards a game. His average reception was 15.7 yards on 68 receptions. Like
Crazy.
Easily one of the better receivers we've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of a crazy week overall in OUA, but heading into the playoffs, I think it's going to be Laurier versus Western. I don't really like Queens might be able to knock them out.
But Queens just lost to Guelph. That's why Guelph got in.
Yeah. Queens is interesting because they didn't need to win. Like they kind of solidified themselves as number 3. Like win or lose, they weren't going to be higher. Like their position was secured. So they weren't really in a need to win. They were kind of like, we can play our younger guys, put in some of our second, third strings. But if there is a team, because I think they lost to, if I remember correctly, they lost to Western by like 7 or 8 earlier in the year. Like their first 2 losses, they were 0-2, and they had Western Laurier back to back. Not a very good start for a team. But they should be a threat, and could if they line up with Western, they should be able to make it not a competitive game. But I think Laurier is just prime for another Vanier Cup appearance. But let's head over to the Canada West, because you guys have quite a bit going on over there. Saskatchewan Regina have secured
chaos in the Canada West, baby.
Secured number
Like
1,
always.
number 1 and 2. Those are your 2. Manitoba, after I think starting off 0-3, have rung off 4 straight wins. They sit second. Calgary UBC are 2-5, and then Alberta's 1-6. So that Calgary UBC are really fighting.
Well, that's just it, Shane, though, because and I know you would have gone over the schedule later, but I'll just go through it. On Friday afternoon, actually, the UBC Thunderbirds travel to Regina, and if UBC loses, that Calgary Alberta game becomes a play-in because they play on Saturday. Manitoba and Saskatchewan finish the season against each other, and that Alberta Calgary game would, as I said, serve as a play-in because if Alberta beats Calgary, all 3 teams would be 2-6. But if I have the tiebreaker correct, Alberta will have beat Calgary and UBC, so they get the last playoff spot.
It would
Yeah.
only be Canada West fashion that Alberta gets in. To go into the last week of the regular season with a 1 win and then get into the playoffs.
To be
Only
fair,
the
though, if
Canada
you're
West
like
fans.
Manitoba, that last game between Manitoba and Saskatchewan is very interesting because like Manitoba can't do any better, can't do any worse. Like they're number 3. They're kind of they're heading back to Saskatchewan at some point. Either it's going to be Regina or Saskatchewan for the playoffs. They just don't know who yet. Um,
Obviously, they feel like they have a lot of unfinished business. Obviously, for everyone that doesn't remember, they were number 1 seed. Brian Dobie's farewell tour last year. They get
yep.
number 4 Regina into their place. They get upset in a huge upset in the first round of the playoffs. They're knocked out before they even get a sniff of the not even let alone the Vanier Cup, the Hardy Cup. They didn't even get to sniff. So I would imagine they're going to be very motivated, especially if it's in Regina ultimately in the playoffs too. But Regina's a good squad, man. They're ready to go. And sorry, the Vanier Cup's in Regina, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they just finished up like 4 years at Queens, and
Yeah.
they're now going back on rotation because I believe it's in Saskatchewan. It's at Mosaic, I believe.
This year, and the next year is
I think it's back in Laval,
yeah.
but I might be mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, so it's at Regina at Mosaic Stadium, and it's in Quebec City. So yeah, pretty much Laval gets it again.
And to I guess rewind and to play into U of A a little bit more, talking about obviously Brian Dobie's farewell tour, it'd be super cool to see U of A get in, obviously because they have rookie head coach and Stevenson Bone who stepped into his role this season as a first year head coach. Played at has a little bit of familiarity with a buddy of mine that went to University of Western, went out to UBC as the offensive coordinator the last few years, kind of was the hot name around the U Sports community, I guess, in terms of a young offensive mind. And then he gets the job with Coach Morris, right? Chris Morris at U of A, moving
Yeah,
on to get the Edmonton job. He got to step in as I believe a very young head coach in U Sports. I don't believe he'd be older than 35. So it would be super cool to see him get in his first year when going against other veterans, like obviously UFC's coach Ryan Sheehan, he's been around. Obviously, Bleak Nils, very well known in U Sports, having ties to the University of Calgary as well. So to get in over the two veteran coaches would be kind of cool for the young head coach.
yeah, and I'm just looking at it. Laval is 12-2 in the Vanier Cup in 14 appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let them get in.
Like Western has 15, and they're 8-7. Like
Crazy.
absolutely nuts.
That Laval crowd travels because maybe we should go there next. That RSEQ game.
Honestly, tempting for next year. Tempted to go if they're a week after again. Take a nice little quick trip to Quebec City.
I believe they will be, but
So, but yeah, we'll jump right into the U Sport or into RSCQ with Montreal losing to Laval 16-6. Puts Laval at number 1 now because Montreal, much like how the Hilltops lost, they're like to a lesser team. Montreal lost to McGill early in the year. They had the 1 win over Laval heading into this matchup, and if they won, they would have secured the number 1 seed. But now they're going to have to head into Laval if they want to get to the Vanier Cup. Laval holds their own destiny. With a win this week, they'll secure number 1, and then they're more than likely going to play McGill, which should be a very interesting game because McGill's been tough against both Montreal and Laval this season. Like McGill is a really good team. Like when they've paired up against those two, I wouldn't be shocked if McGill puts either of them if Laval beats Sherbrooke and McGill can beat Concordia. I wouldn't be shocked if McGill gives either one of those two teams a run on the money in the first round.
I know you've been playing to that tune all season, Shane, about like kind of the RSCQ kind of keeping an eye on some of the other teams being competitive outside of Laval and Montreal. I don't feel confident kind of speaking too much on the matter without watching too much of. I know Montreal has Pepe Gonzalez. He's been very interesting to follow along. That kid's been an absolute stud considering what Jonathan Senecal did obviously in his career. He moves along. He breaks his passing touchdowns in the season record, which is crazy to think that he only got, I think it was 15 or 16. I don't remember how many Pepe Gonzalez has now in his regular season, but I believe he's also a true freshman.
He is. He has
But
he has, I think, 2 more years technically before he's draft eligible, because I think
yeah,
it's 3 years out of high school.
could be a name to keep an eye on for sure for Canadian football fans for sure because he's been very in as I mentioned, not watching too many RSCQ. I've seen some clips from his games and stuff like that. Follow him on Instagram and stuff like that. So he's very talented. It looks like he's gonna be a kid to maybe he's U Sports talented, but you never know, man. If he's able to develop and stuff like that in the program that University of Montreal has, I feel like he could be a prospect hopefully one day.
Yeah, 19 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his true freshman year.
Yeah,
So
I believe Senecal might have had 16 touchdowns, and if he has not, you said 18 or 19, Shane, sorry,
19.
19. Yeah, I want to say Senecal maybe had 16 then. That was the club record previously held by Senecal last year, who obviously went to a training camp with the Montreal Alouettes. Wasn't drafted, correct, Shane? He was at UDFA.
Senecal? No, I thought he was drafted.
I
He was
believe
like
he
a
was
he was
drafted.
a late
Okay,
round pick. He was like, I think 6th or 7th round. Like he was late, but I'm pretty sure he was drafted.
okay,
He was
forgive me,
drafted by Montreal.
Because yeah, he was the
forgive me.
3rd quarterback drafted. Because
Okay,
he was after.
right, he was correct. You guys are right, right. Where'd Coach go?
I don't know.
I
Hiding
see.
from
Bitch,
parents. That's
I'm
what he's
right
doing.
here.
See the glasses.
I can see that smile. That's all that matters.
I can't help. I can't help how black I am, man. It's just part of the gig.
Does your car not come with a light?
Man, I'm not trying to drain my battery.
I don't blame you. Break down. Be
Shit,
stranded.
I got AAA.
Okay, that's not nice.
To be fair, I think he's at this point he's just trying to hide from the parents of the team he coaches. So
Oh, best believe they. Ooh,
That's not
they
even
was-
coach's school, but that's a crazy story.
I know, and I just cracked up laughing. Like, really, in the big 2025, y'all really out here? But see, Skyline, they got all the paper, so they can do what they want, when they want, how they want. It's a dirty ball game out here, man.
But yeah, it's
could
just
never. It's like one of the reasons why I would hate coaching like youth sports at this point. Entitlement is crazy.
The entitlement is ridiculous.
Um,
And they're
Dude,
winning. That's the fucked up part.
yeah, they're 5-2.
Exactly. Like, what the fuck are y'all mad for?
Little Timmy is only getting 5 minutes of playing time, getting only like 10 snaps a game versus the 25 he deserves.
Maybe because maybe little Timmy just isn't good at football. And you trying to live vicariously through your kid.
Oh, 100%.
Shoot, I can see Cole being
Little
that type of
Timmy.
dad.
What's that?
I can see you being that type of dad, Cole.
No, my son gonna be in the backyard shooting, coach. Don't worry. My son gonna be prepared. I ain't gonna have to be that dad that's by living through. My son's gonna be in the gym putting in work. Don't worry about that.
Okay, we don't need another baby Gronk.
No,
No,
A
no,
fifth
he's not
year,
gonna be like that.
fifth year, 5th grader.
We won't be
did y'all see
flexing on
that
social
video of Baby
media.
Gronk
We're,
getting
we're
hit in
more
the
of
head with a
the
can?
Kobe Bryant cloth. We'll be just working in the dark, working behind the scenes.
My the boy said he wanted to try hockey, and I was like, boy, I don't know about all that.
Not a boy. He's got a little
Ooh.
Canadian in him.
I know, but see, ever since he went up to Grey Cup, he's been infatuated with Canada, and now he's like, I want to try
Smart man.
hockey.
Yeah, that's all
I'm like,
right.
well, there's a hockey player that wear a do-rag, so there might be a chance for us. But shit, I don't know. I don't know
Hey,
nothing.
the Sens had a prospect who wore a do-rag under his helmet. Everyone was losing their shit over it.
For what?
For wearing a do-rag. Apparently people were upset about it. People thought actually that's not true. A lot of people thought it was cool, but then you had some traditionalists who did not think it was appropriate attire to wear under a helmet.
Probably
Y'all,
some old
y'all,
whites,
that's the only thing
some
about
old white
Canada,
people.
man. Y'all so traditional.
We are.
Well, too traditional.
Yes. Should we even bother with the AUS or just go to
No,
last
the
week's
AUS is a
recap?
joke.
Okay, let's just go to last week then in the
Like,
CFL.
it doesn't matter what happens in the AUS. They're gonna end up playing. I think they're playing Canada West this year.
It doesn't matter who they play; they always get crapped on in the semifinals.
Because the division isn't good. They need to merge with the RCQ to do anything to get anything productive done. But yes, let's jump into last week. This was a nail biter, and by nail biter I just mean a snooze fest. Saskatchewan goes to Winnipeg, kind of a meaningless game for them. They dress most of their second strings, and still somehow against a desperate Winnipeg team, come away with a 1-point walk-off field goal loss to the Blue Bombers, 16-17. I don't know. I feel like Winnipeg is just they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be out of the playoffs.
They're
just
going to
one of
lose
those,
to the Alouettes.
Yep.
Like they're going to go. They're going to get. It's just like
Walking Dead.
VI. It's just like VI against Okanagan, and Sioux against the Saints, and it's going to be whoever plays Laurier. Like they're in and they're out. It's a revolving door, or it's the Simpsons meme of Grandpa Simpson walking in, putting his hat down, turning around, and walking out. That's what Winnipeg feels like.
You know what the best part of last week's results were?
What?
Unless by some miracle, which isn't going to happen, they make the Grey Cup, the Blue Bombers don't get a home playoff game this year.
I mean,
that's if they make you know what though? If there's one team that can pull a magic stick out of their ass and get to a Grey Cup, it's Winnipeg.
yes.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're one and done. I think they're just circling the block and then they're gonna come into Montreal and then go back to Winnipeg. They're only gonna go back to Winnipeg to pack their locker room up and go home for the winter.
Wow.
But do you guys have anything to add about this game? I feel like it's pretty boring, eventful game.
No, the only thing I have to add is, Coach, what besides the Grey Cup, would anything make Rider fans happy?
No.
Like seriously, I saw the comments and the social media and the talk shows. Riders fans were mad that they put Jack Conan and they didn't win to sweep the season series against the Bombers. The game means nothing to you, and you still almost won the game with your second and third string quarterbacks. Go do something productive with your time. Come back and talk to me November 8th.
You know what? I've learned that Rider fans are very passionate. They are very loyal. They love their team, but sometimes the winning the 4 Grey Cups in 100 and some years has done something to their psyche at times. Like it's made them have unrealistic they want if your barometer or your standard is sweeping Winnipeg in the regular season series, there's a problem there.
Yep.
Focus on winning the Grey Cup. That's what I care about. Can you win the Grey Cup?
Exactly.
Fuck a regular season series. That don't mean shit. Winnipeg don't give a shit about that. They want to go back to a 6th Grey Cup. Who the fuck cares? It was the backups. Who gives a shit? Sometimes you I feel like sometimes CFL fans just find shit to gripe about because they ain't got nothing else to do.
Yep.
That's just me. You
ain't wrong.
Like, come on, man. We got bigger fish to fry.
Cole, you got anything to say about that game?
No, I was kind of, I don't know if I actually even filled you guys in, but I was battling, kind of going through a little bit of a sickness late last week. So I actually stayed home from work Friday. And then I was able to get out, as I saw actually Blake was able to as well, get out to some Friday Night Lights. I took in, we're actually celebrating my head coach's, or my former high school coach's 25th anniversary of when he started the program. So I got to go out, see that game, and then I came home, was excited to check out the Bombers Riders game, but I ended up kind of passing out and kind of coming in and out of sleep on the couch watching the game, and I didn't look like I missed too much, especially judging by the end of the final score. So I'm glad that we did pick Winnipeg, and Winnipeg came through, because as I was coming in and out of consciousness, I was very conscious of having Winnipeg and wanting to make sure that we got that one. So, yeah, not much to say. I'm just glad Winnipeg held on. I also Zach Collaros, man. If Taylor Elgersma doesn't get an NFL opportunity this offseason, I kind of pray that he retires, man, and Elgersma gets full green light to come in this offseason and be the guy. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Elgersma ultimately get an NFL opportunity. But like, I know it wasn't concussion, but just seeing Zach, like, and then he gets hit and he's having extended period of time where he's down and stuff like that. He's just, I don't know, man. It looks kind of bad. It looks like those like guys that stay around 1 year too long and they're kind of holding on to it. But playing till the wheels
Yeah,
fall off, I don't blame him.
I don't think he's fully healed. Like I think the Bombers like know they
Well,
desperately
yeah,
need him to
they're
have
they're fucked without him. I get it
any
because Chris
shot.
Butler's, yeah,
So I
it
think
just
like
he looks bad.
I think
Like it
he's
looks
playing
bad.
out the rest of the year, and no matter what happens, that'll be it.
Right.
But
We'll
And,
see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if Elgersma was going to get a shot, he would have gotten it by now. It's
Yeah,
hard to
I agree.
feel like it's magically going to
Miami
come.
Dolphins,
He
but
Tua,
he's
Cincinnati
holding on
Bengals,
to his NFL opportunities, is what I'll
which
just
you know
say.
what, at this point, I don't blame him. What like
Cleveland
Oh,
Browns.
I agree.
you know, you come to the CFL, you're stuck here for 3 years. You know, there is no reason to. You're 23, may as well just wait out,
Well, you're
see
not
what
stuck.
happens.
You're just like you can be released from your contract, but
You can, but it's
I just think he also needs to be very realistic with himself and look in the mirror and also to call a spade, he's a U Sports quarterback.
I was just gonna say there's a reason that
So and
Curtis Rourke is still in the NFL
Shane,
and he's not.
I a hundred
Curtis
percent
works in the NFL because he's hurt, so he can't be
I,
released.
I agree, Shane, with everything you're saying about him being that's the right decision for his future, his career to not come to the CFL sign, to make sure you go into the NFL offseason to, keep that interest because there is interest. But at the end of the day, when draft season comes back around and there's another crop of quarterbacks that come in, free agent veterans that come into play, like it's just yes, he's going to get that opportunity, but is it as a legitimate rosterable player, or is it for a camp arm once again? Because as high as we all were for Green Bay, did Green Bay ever really take him seriously? Like
No,
considering who was on the roster, Shane, I agree.
Oh no,
Talent wise,
I'm not saying that he
talent wise,
won't, but I'm just saying like
talent
for
wise,
him.
he's in the conversation with Sean Clifford and the other freaking no names that were on that roster, and he realistically never got a real look. So in my opinion, it's like hold on to the NFL opportunity, but don't like lose
No, but he's
3 years of
23,
playing
right? Like
because
it's not like Curtis
you're like
Rourke who's going to be 26 next year. He'll be
for sure,
24.
for sure.
Like there's no point of him signing right now, being a third string, maybe even a fourth string with Winnipeg for the rest of this year. Like there was
Yeah, I'm not talking about this year.
so like in my opinion, I think if he goes into next April and he hasn't signed an NFL contract in any way, he should come to the CFL. If he wants to continue playing football, I think that's where he goes. But I mean, if you're Winnipeg, you can't rely on him coming in and trying to be a stellar, basically a rookie in the CFL.
But
I think you still need to go out and get
start
another
the clock
quarterback because
though,
like
is what I'm
Strevler.
saying though. Start the clock for his development, opposed to him not playing for 3 years and sitting on the bench in the
Oh
NFL.
yeah, I agree. I
Like
think like he needs to be in the team next
that's
year.
not the way to go.
No, but he needs to be on the team next year. Like he needs to
Yeah.
be on the roster. He needs to be on the
Especially
team.
if like you said, right, he's not signed say by April and you get into May, you start to get into the CFL season and you lose like another season, it's like, dude, just come up here, play. If you play well, you might get another opportunity down there, but don't like hold on to the NFL dream and lose 3 years of playing to not even hold a clipboard. He's not even active. Like he's not even on the active roster.
Yeah, which I think again that's an off-season conversation to have with him.
For sure.
Like in regards to like Winnipeg's free agency plans. Like I think they need to know where he lies with his ability to cut. Like if they need to have a conversation with him, being like, "Hey, are you going to come up this year, or are you planning on spending another year looking at NFL opportunities before making a decision in 27 to come up here?" Because if he's not coming up here for 26. Like he's not signing for 26. It drastically changes how your entire offseason looks. Especially if, like, because Strevler's not the answer.
No.
They don't have an inside answer. So you're gonna have to go ahead and get someone, and what happens with guys like Willie Jefferson, Stanley, Neufeld, and all those, like the older core of this team. What happens with them? What do you do with those guys? So a lot of questions for Winnipeg, I think, surround that quarterback room. I think Calero should be retired. The minute he gets eliminated, it should be, I'm done. This is my last game. Like I'm going to finish up the year and then I'm done, for his own health.
And sorry, Shane, we talked about this last week, and you mentioned that the contract pauses. So because he extended, that the contract just
Yeah. So my understanding of how contracts around retirement work is that if you're under contract and then you announce your retirement, if you reinstate, the team has the option to release you or slide your contract over to begin in like 26, for example. Or like if you were to retire for 1 year, come back in 27, my understanding is he would still have to play under whatever contract he was under when he retired. But I think there's like a 48-hour period where the team can release you if they choose to do so, but you don't count towards their cap. You don't count towards their roster. Like you're not part of the team until you apply for reinstation.
Did he sign an extension in season, or was that before the season?
It was prior to the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but I don't even know what Winnipeg was thinking.
Well, I thought he signed it last year. Like I didn't think he signed it. I don't remember if he signed it this year. I thought he signed it like last off season, like 24.
No, because they announced it, like, I want to say, are you Googling, Shane?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. It was right before the season.
Yeah. That's like, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, but at the same time, like he had concussions before, but he's had 2, potentially 3 this year alone.
But
this has been his worst health wise. This has been his worst season since entering.
Exactly,
Winnipeg.
that's my point.
But you roll the dice with a guy like that who's taking you that far. You show loyalty to a guy like that,
especially at a home Grey Cup too. You weren't getting anywhere better. But the extension was what kind of threw me off. It's like, I don't know. That's just weird.
I don't know. I feel like he's brought you to 5 straight Grey Cups. He's done a really good job at staying healthy. It's kind of I'm going to reward you for what you've done, and if you retire or you no longer like there's no guarantee contract in the NFL in the CFL as a player, right? Like he could be cut, in February right before free agency if he's due a roster bonus. So like the extensions don't really mean anything in the CFL, given the fact that I don't think there's any guaranteed money attached to them. But we'll jump into game number 2 of Friday. The Edmonton Elks went to BC with their playoff hopes kind of hanging by a thread. It was very much
especially after the Winnipeg win.
Yeah, very much a must win for Edmonton, and they fell short by 13 points.
They started off good. Like their first half was great
until the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then BC has put themselves in a really good spot with that win to host the playoff game. I feel like there's a curse around home playoff games while you're hosting the Grey Cup.
Yeah. I think it's hard not to like consciously kind of like, I feel like, think about it. So like, I don't know. Teams, it's also hard to do too.
You can't think that far ahead as a team. You have to focus week by week.
And I feel like that distraction's always there that much more in a home Grey Cup year. Like the questions are always asked, opposed to like not at all during the regular season where they come up at times, stuff like that. So it's like the pressure is just on, I feel like, that much more.
Right.
Yeah, but coach is right. Like as a team, you got to set your goals, and it's cliche, but like goal number 1 is to make the playoffs, and then goal number 2 is to potentially host a playoff game, ideally a Western or an Eastern final. And then goal number 3, of course, is to win a Grey Cup.
It's a process, and it's a whole process that people try to cut corners, and you can't cut corners in that process. You have to take it. And if you take it, the reward is so worth it.
But yeah, as far as the game goes, I guess I'll go first here. As Cole mentioned, I was, of course, at Friday Night Lights when this game was going on, but I had the radio broadcast in my ears. And the Lions started out like not great. Like they were down 10-2 late in the first half. They did get a safety early in the first quarter. It was 2-0 for the longest time, but they trailed 10-2 going almost into halftime. And then right before the half, like it was a quick drive too, like less than 2.5 minutes. They went, I believe it was 6 plays, 87 yards, capped off by a James Butler touchdown and 2-point conversion that tied the game at 10 at the half. And then I believe it was on the first possession of the third quarter where Robert Carter Jr. kind of sealed his, if it wasn't sealed already. The team awards came out today and sealed the most outstanding rookie with his 5th pick of the year, his first pick 6, as he picked off Cody Fajardo, took it 50 yards to the house. And after that, the Lions just kind of ran away with it for a bit. The Elks tried to stay in it a little bit, but that 70-yard run by Nathan Rourke as well. It was 20-10 at the time. Nathan Rourke went on a 70-yard run that originally people thought it might be called back because there was a flag on the play, but it was illegal contact on the Elks. And it seemed like after that play, the wind was taken out of the Elks' sail. I know they scored another touchdown to make it a 10-point game again, but Cody Fajardo threw, I believe it was 3 picks in this game. He had only thrown 3 picks since he became a starter going into this game. So the Lions secondary picked him off as many times in that game as he had been picked off all year. And like you said, Shane, the Lions control their own destiny. Like they could clinch a home playoff game if both Calgary and Winnipeg lose before their game. But the simplest thing to do is not worry about anything else and beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And you're going to host a home playoff game, most likely against Vernon Adams and the Calgary Stampeders.
You want to go next, Shane?
Yeah, wasn't sure if you were going to say anything, Cole.
I will go from maybe an Edmonton standpoint first because Blake pretty much covered it pretty good. I will say though, Blake, he didn't even say it with his chest. Blake, you can say it. Nathan Rourke for MOP. I'll say
I
that with my
said that
chest
last week.
after not last week because I was very hesitant. But before I do get on that train, I will say to back it up first because I have been very hard on Edmonton the last few weeks of them letting me down in previous years. I will say that I feel like if Edmonton was somehow able to win that game because of what we saw in the first half, Justin Rankin absolutely should have been in that conversation. I believe he still leads the CFL in total yards from scrimmage this season. I believe he's over the 1,000-yard mark, and then I think he's like 600 yards receiving, like 5 receiving touchdowns as well. And I think I don't know if he was double digits in touchdowns. I want to say he had 9 touchdowns rushing as well. So like basically 15 touchdowns, 1,500 total yards from scrimmage. But as we know, as I kind of had the back and forth with Bobby DeBow, obviously former record holder of like the MOP conversation, obviously would love to say that it doesn't matter, but in those awards, team wins always play a little part, whether it's a quarter of the kind of the process. Team wins always come into play. So unfortunately for Justin Rankin, I would imagine that's going to take him out of the running, but that would also probably lean towards a guy like maybe Dietrich Mills or even James Butler being in that conversation as well. Obviously, Dietrich Mills I know is the rushing leader, but I would throw
He
James
was
Butler in that
Calgary's
conversation.
nominee, by the way.
Yeah, I would throw James Butler in that conversation as well, just because of his season. I think not only rushing but coming out of the backfield as well. But for me, MOP is most definitely Nathan Rourke after what he did, especially because I feel like he had his MOP moment. That 70-yard touchdown was kind of, I feel like for me, what did it, opposed to any other one that's any other of the candidates that I feel like is in the running. Bo Levi Mitchell's kind of quieted as the season's gone on, I guess you could say, or towards the end of the year. Bo definitely deserves to be in that conversation. What he's done at his age, what last year was, and then kind of being able to be one of the leaders. But as Shane said as well, and you could use this argument with Nathan Rourke all you want, but Kenny Lawler's also had a huge part into his success. And as I said, you could use Keon Hatcher in that argument against Nathan Rourke. But I feel like almost Kenny Lawler has had his moment opposed to Bo Levi Mitchell having his true like standout MOP type of moment. You also look at like a guy like, obviously it's unfortunate Davis Alexander hasn't had enough opportunity this season because of his injury, but for anybody that thinks he should be in the conversation, he just hasn't played enough. I believe he's a great player when healthy, arguably the best quarterback in the CFL. He's not been healthy, so I feel like he kind of excludes himself out of the conversation. You look at Sask, and Sask doesn't have anybody that should be in that conversation, in my opinion. They're a great team, number one
You're
seed in the
wrong
West,
though, Cole.
clear cut. But just in my opinion, I don't think anybody should be in that conversation. But like if you do,
I do,
that's
yeah. I'd
okay.
like to introduce you to AJ Allen.
Yeah,
Like,
Yes, sir.
not for most outstanding player. Most outstanding
yes.
defensive player.
No. No, no. We need to stop making that a quarterback award. That's the thing.
Blake,
It
they
needs
have their
it needs
award,
to stop
brother.
being an offensive player, like an offensive award. That's what it needs to stop.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
yes, I agree.
we've
But
talked
AJ
about it
Allen,
before. Let's change it.
yes,
Well, you have
yes,
most outstanding defensive player, and then
yes.
most like this is like the thing that annoys me. I agree, but it's literally called the George Reed Most Outstanding Player Award. It is defaulted into the Most Outstanding Offensive Player of the award.
For the record, AJ Allen
Just
wasn't
win
even
it.
the Riders' nominee. It was Trevor Harris, but
He was nominated for most outstanding Canadian.
AJ Allen was, yeah. No, I'm saying
Yeah,
Harris was the most outstanding player nominee.
yeah. Allen also
That
should have been the
my
Most Outstanding Defensive Player nominee, not Jameer Thurman, even though Jameer Thurman's a close second.
But
But
yeah, no, as far as the Elks are concerned, like I'm a little bit
what do they
sad.
do
I
in
was
the offseason?
hoping they could sneak in. But I wasn't willing to sacrifice a home playoff game and the Bombers missing the playoffs to make it happen. So
That's fair. Moving on to the Saturday afternoon game. They made it interesting. Should have been a lot closer.
ish.
Tyree Adams made his first start in over 2 years since he basically blew out his knee against Edmonton in 2023. Montreal Alouettes have put themselves in a good position to potentially win the East, beating Ottawa 39-28. I don't really have much to say. I mean, Tyree looked really good in his start. Some of the interceptions weren't really his fault. Some picks and some deflected balls kind of led to it outside of that one in the end zone. Montreal just is a completely different team with Davis Alexander behind center. Like, it's not even close. Could they make some noise against Hamilton? 100%. But there's nothing much to say. They got
I think
Ottawa locked up.
Hamilton is, and I know we'll talk about this in most likely 2 weeks because, of course, next week we'll be previewing the semifinals. But I would argue that Montreal is better than Hamilton with Davis Alexander. Like, Hamilton is just way too inconsistent this year.
Agreed.
agreed.
But Ottawa, with that loss, secures the first overall pick in the 2026 CFL draft.
The draft that doesn't
20.
matter. Remember that, Shane.
Yeah, don't
Oh
listen
yeah,
to
the draft
Rourke.
doesn't matter at all. It's not like Ottawa hasn't had contributions for 6 out of their 7 picks in last year's draft, or the second overall pick is one of the favorites to win this year's most outstanding rookie. Like, completely doesn't matter at all. Not even.
No, never.
Not
Never
even
has, never will.
Complete joke of a draft.
It's not like
A
2
guy,
years ago a
a guy that
Canadian
runs a
caught the
Canadian
game-winning
football
touchdown.
account.
But
Sorry, Blake.
no,
What
I
did you
was
say,
just
Cole?
saying that a Canadian caught the game-winning touchdown 2 years ago in the Grey Cup. So
And a Canadian was MOP the year before.
yeah, like
What were you gonna say, Cole?
I was just saying, like it's just a guy that claims he's a Canadian and a CFL fan. He's like the most anti-Canadian in the CFL.
Whatever.
He's also the most like negative person, and
Damn.
I've also called that for years. You can ask Blake that.
I would be very much. I've heard rumors and like potential people who it could be. I don't think that it is that particular person, but I'd be interested to know who the real Roar Report person is. But
Oh Lord.
Trying not to name drop, but way to go, Blake.
what? Cole already said it.
Oh, I didn't hear him say it. I just
Yeah, he already said it before me. So
um,
I don't think it
yeah,
matters
well,
too much. He's not following anybody. Well, I mean, unless you guys
Who is
follow
it?
him back.
I mean, he follows 13th man and whatnot. So maybe he'll listen. Maybe I
Who
don't know.
is it? Damn it.
Roll report.
War
No.
report. He's like
it's
He's
the guy
also
we were
not
talking
anybody
about
like to
earlier.
like.
Oh yeah.
He hasn't done anything either. Like
Yeah,
he's not
but
somebody like his opinion is like the most irrelevant to me.
but
That's all I know.
as far as the game is concerned, like Montreal got out to the early lead. Actually, that's not totally true. At halftime, it was what, a one-score game there, Shane?
yeah. It was a one score game. It
16
was
to
literally
10
and
or
Ottawa
whatever.
was driving, and then they threw an interception into double coverage, and it basically swung the entire game.
Yeah, but the Alouettes going into the fourth quarter had a 20-point lead and kind of coasted from there. Like I know the Red Blacks, and I actually really like the move. Unfortunately, it's about 20 weeks too late. But the Red Blacks went for an onside kick with like 6 minutes left, and it worked because they recovered it and they scored a touchdown to make it a one-score game. They just ultimately ran out of time because after that touchdown, they had to try another onside kick, which they didn't recover.
Which was
But
bonehead decision. You had
yeah, there
enough
was
time
still
to
like
kick it
3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah,
But
this is what I'm talking about with like
Rick Campbell, baby.
Rick Campbell, Tommy Condell. Like,
Bobby Dice,
see, this is my problem with coaching as a whole is that if you're not an if you're not an offensive coach, you have to hit your OC hires. Like, you
yeah.
have to knock it out of the park. Your OC needs to be like, you can kind of get if you're a defensive coach, like if you're Corey Mace, you can your DC doesn't really need to be like a top tier hire, but you need to have a top tier OC. And I
But
think when you have I think that's what Dice has missed on so much with Ottawa is that like Condell hasn't worked and neither did Jones. They both really struggled at being like finding creative ways to make the offense work. And I think if you're a special teams coach, you really need to hit that offensive coordinator hire, and he just hasn't done it. And I think that's the bigger issue than what people want to talk about, or they'll just pump all the blame onto the head coach without realizing the certain roles of certain coaches and their ability or inability to affect a game.
but I'd also like to give one special shout out to Mr. Consistency on the offensive side of the ball, Geno Lewis, who has another 1,000-yard receiving season. He's at 1,000 yards exactly now, I believe, or at least that's what the Red Blacks posted. So
Yeah,
he's probably not going to play on Friday now that he's hit that milestone. Justin Hardy's only like 20 yards away, so he'll probably hit
22 yards,
yeah, so he'll hit 1,000. And neither one of them was Ottawa's MOP nomination. It was Khalil Pimpleton. But
which
then
is
again,
rightfully deserved.
I don't think Ottawa had many options. So
Pimpleton is 100% deserved for that MOP nomination for Ottawa.
he had a couple of kick return touchdowns this year as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
Or missed field
662
goal.
yards in receiving, which kind of middle of the pack wise. But in terms of punt returns, field goal returns, he's been one of the
He
better
still lit
ones.
up the Lions the game they beat him. But
Yeah, like 697 kickoff return yards, a touchdown and a missed field goal on 235 yards, 589 punt return yards. He's no Trey Laval, but he's definitely been the most consistent player for Ottawa on either side of the ball.
Yeah, but
Was he?
I know
Was he Bombers Rookie of the Year?
Pimpleton.
Laval,
Yeah,
Vaval was, yeah.
yeah,
that's gonna
he's
be an interesting one, Blake. Honestly, Carter and that guy's. I'm curious to see. I'm obviously leaning Carter, but that Bombers returner man he's been good this year.
Yeah, but he doesn't play on offense though. Like
No,
he's
he's
just
purely
a
special.
He's
special
special
teams
teams
guy.
only, for sure.
So
To
I
be
feel
fair, I
like
think it's going
that.
to be
Like if
either.
he played offense, I would give it to him 100%.
I think
But
Carter's had the moments, as I mentioned, though, to like.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's
But-
going to be Verisek or Sluka.
I think it'd be
but
Carter.
this Saturday's game between Montreal, and I know we'll get into it in just a minute, but the Saturday game between Montreal and Winnipeg could either be really interesting or a complete snooze fest.
Yes. Yes, it
Because either like Montreal has already know they're going to host the East Semi, and Winnipeg knows they're going to be the crossover team. Because I saw Derek Taylor tweeted that the Bombers' path could be settled on Friday. Of course, the Hamilton win clinches them first, and a Calgary loss means that Winnipeg can finish no higher than fourth because they lose any tiebreaker in that involves the Stamps.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting.
But speaking of the Stamps, they just like also belt
Obliterated
to ass.
a crappy Toronto team to end the season. Because now Toronto's season's over. They're on the bye this week, so their
Thank
season's
gosh.
over. So they are joining Ottawa and Edmonton in planning their free agency plan and what's up, Cole? Looks like you want to say something.
You're
on mute.
muted.
Sorry, I got to say this because I got so much shit preseason. When I did my preseason predictions for the standings, I had the Argos 5-13, and what the hell did they finish? 5-13. I told them
5-13.
I
they'd be
agree.
low.
I'm just saying I was
I
on
got
board on
so
that.
much shit in those comments, man, about
Yes,
people
but
calling.
at that point, like people still thought Chad Kelly was gonna come back.
That was like right before it. I knew Nick Arbuckle was going to be. That was literally the
No,
Monday
I'm
of the
saying like
season.
Nick Arbuckle was never the problem. Just people had this illusion that Kelly
That
was gonna
Chad
come
Kelly
back
would be
like
able
he
to
did last
mask.
year and save the season.
He'd be
I
able to
don't know. I was
mask any
never.
defensive deficiencies, or they'd be able to find hidden gems like they
They
did
lost.
previously.
Yeah, they lost their whole team. I didn't.
They
Even when
lost
Chad
almost.
Kelly came.
They lost like 7 or 6 of their defensive starters from the Grey Cup.
And honestly, I didn't see the receivers stepping up like they didn't have anybody to fear in the receiving core.
There was
As well,
supposed
Cal,
to be
so
and that's
Ty
about
Polk,
it.
but they thought Polk was going to make a difference when he came back from Atlanta, and that's just too
He
late.
did, but they were already too late.
That's what I'm saying. It was too late in the season for that type of impact to be made. Like he had some sightings, but not to the point where it was going to turn the season around for the offense.
Yeah, and
But-
I mean, Mattel took a huge step. I mean, if you're looking on one
And-
positive, having Mattel,
Coxie was having a hell of a season before he got hurt.
Yeah.
and like that's one positive if you're an Argos fan to kind of go into 2026 is like Mattel could be a franchise receiver, your franchise number one. I mean, I kind of hope you get it like number 4 overall.
Are they gonna be the new Calgary where like we just hope that someone wins the Grey Cup other than Toronto? But
That's always been a case. There's been nothing. What do you mean, new Calgary?
well, like for a while when Calgary was making like their trips to the
Anybody
the
but
Grey Cup,
Calgary.
part of me, it was like ABC, anyone but
Yeah.
Calgary.
Oh, that
Not
might be a
like-
Western thing because for us, it's always like if you're in the East, it's always anyone but Toronto because of how much they've won it and how insufferable their fans can be because of it.
Fair enough. But as far as the game was concerned, on the first series, Adrian Green picked off Daggy and took it for a pick 6, and that was kind of the game. Like the Stampeders just ran roughshod over the Argos after that.
Yeah, Did you guys see the blunder that TSN had? That was called out by Dejan Brissett.
No.
They threw Tucker Horn's face on
Oh, I
Byron
did see that.
Scott's
Yeah,
body.
I
They
did see
literally
that. Yeah.
Photoshop. I'm just gonna pull the tweet because it's absolutely hilarious.
Oh
That she's
gosh.
just like, oh yeah, we
That's the CFL for you. Brian Scott's
well,
body.
it's TSN. It's not even like the CFL. It was TSN.
But
It was pretty funny.
good gosh. But
Where is it?
Anyways, boys, should we get to picks after Shane gets this? Is it still me and Blake nodded up into the final week
we
here?
are, because I believe we all went 4-0 last week.
Okay,
so
Blake, let's agree at least on one game. We have to go different, okay?
don't worry, I was already gonna do that. You just won't know
can't-
which one, but
We can't tie.
I mean, we could use the playoffs as
No,
a tiebreaker, but
Blake.
We
We're not gonna
could.
tie on purpose.
Where is this tweet?
We are the Raiders and Rams already tied this year. That was bad enough.
oh, that ended our playoff hopes. But
Sure did. Shane, you finding it, buddy?
I don't. I'm trying.
Honestly, I'm shocked, so I'm gonna throw it in there because you guys didn't mention it at all. I'm surprised you guys didn't bring up baseball once.
I did
We ain't
earlier in the
Did
show.
we ain't got to talk about that.
Oh yeah,
I said the Blue Jays
yeah,
were on a
right,
magical
yeah.
run.
I'm gonna say, yeah, that's okay. I guess I thought you'd say, dude, this guy. Do you guys see his reaction? This guy was getting emotional. I was like, oh my god, that's so
Yeah,
Blake,
here's
dude.
the
I
tweet.
love it. Yeah, dude, that's so ridiculous.
That
That's
is
sick.
hilarious.
That's
Like
the devil's work.
It looks
Y'all
just like him.
straight to
absolutely
hell.
horrendous.
It looks just like him.
Just like
Oh my god.
And as far as
so bad too. Like,
Cole,
his
as
head
far as
looks
getting
so
emotional
small.
about the Blue Jays, like I've said it on this show before. I will never apologize about sports
Oh, yeah,
making me
no.
emotional. Like
Not
No,
at all,
well,
buddy.
we all do, but shit, at our expense, fucking Springer, goddamn it, and why? And why?
I will
Why
will
would
say,
you
Coach,
pitch to him?
I will say, Coach, if the Blue Jays had lost, I only would have wanted it to be to the Mariners.
Yeah, it was a great series, but God, why would you
I
pitch
mean,
to
it's a lot of
Springer?
work for a team. Like either team is probably going to get kind of beat up by the Dodgers. Like,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but
But the
Shane, have you
Dodgers,
seen the stat about like 4-game sweeps
oh
and
yeah, the 4-game
like
sweep versus the 7-game winner.
the 7-game series?
I
Like
don't
Yeah.
think
technically the
Shohei
Jays have
Ohtani
the
played in any
advantage.
of those games.
is game one in Toronto or in LA?
It's
In
in
Toronto.
Toronto.
Game 1 and 2 are in Toronto.
Oh Lord.
The Jays have home field advantage due to Mason Fluharty. But
Hey, if Toronto can go back to LA tied 1-1, good chance. But I don't think you can go back to LA down 0-2
no,
and expect to do the
they're not
same
doing
thing.
what they did in the LCS. If they're 0-2, they might get swept. But
Yeah, like winning 2 out of 3 in LA would be tough.
we'll see.
So, but yeah, let's jump into. Do we want to go over want to review the winners real quick? Or
We all went 4-0, didn't we?
No, I'm talking about for the team winners. We didn't really talk about the awards.
Oh yeah. I mean, Cole's got to get out of here, so maybe we save that
Yeah,
for
do it
next
quick.
week.
So I'm leaving at 7:30
oh yeah,
sharp.
I gotta head
someone's
out.
got to go and do other things because clearly not as important.
Got to record other things, buddy.
And I got
But yeah,
responsibilities.
Cole, you got to get me one of those shirts. That's sick.
Dude, you should see the quarter zip, dude. The quarter zip's my favorite, honestly.
Send them my
let's go into
address.
this week. This starting off, Hamilton hosting Ottawa. This is kind of a clean sweep with Hamilton.
No, go Red Bull. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Hamilton's going to win the game and make the Montreal-Winnipeg game mean probably nothing. But
Yep. I got Hamilton.
I got Hamilton.
If Hamilton wasn't playing for anything, I'd maybe consider Ottawa and just a Hamilton having their eyes on something else, but they have to win to secure first place. I feel like
The
they're going
thing
to be
with
very.
Hamilton is like I said earlier, they've been inconsistent, especially like the back half of the season. But even bad Hamilton could probably beat good Ottawa by at least 10 points.
So I'm
I
just
think we
gonna
probably. I think we
I'm just
probably
gonna
see a
say
little bit of
this.
like. Oh, sorry, Shane.
Um, right now, you guys are tied at 49-28. You guys both were 4-0 last week. Coach was 2-2, and I was 3-1. So we're heading into the final week of the
Oh yeah,
season.
coach went with the Elks.
So
I
heading into the
fuck.
final game of the season, you guys are 49-28. I'm 42-35, and coach is 41-36. So coach has to go different than me, or I can just say screw it and go the same as coach and kind of just
Be a
secure my
hypocrite.
win as third.
God damn it.
Coach, you got
But
Hamilton too?
I chose Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't got much faith in Ottawa.
I don't either. Calgary versus Edmonton.
Is this
Again,
game
Calgary
in Calgary or is it in Edmonton?
it's in Edmonton. Calgary still needs like this. This is a big game for
Like,
Calgary. They
please
still need to
do it.
win.
Please do it for me, please. I got Calgary. I will take the floor first, please, Blake.
See, Cole, it's
Do
funny
it
you
for
should
the
say
Turf
that because
District. Do it for
th-
all those loyal tailgaters that you love, Blake.
no, this was the
Kamish,
game. This
Super
was the
Fan Mike,
game that
all
I
the
thought
boys.
I thought we were gonna go different on because the Edmonton Elks, out of the eliminated teams, are the only and I get this might sound weird, but they're the only team that has like something to play for. Like they weren't eliminated weeks ago. Like they just got eliminated. They obviously like Ottawa and like Toronto technically. They're playing for jobs, but like if they lose this game, they finish 7-11 again. And that's what they finished last year, 7-11. And like all year, they've been like, we're an improved team. We're an improved team. If you go and you lose this game, like you're not an improved team. It's the exact same as last year. You went into the season with a starting quarterback that maybe shouldn't have started. About 6 games in, you changed to the guy that should have been starting. You go on a bit of a win streak to potentially get yourself into the playoff conversation and then get eliminated right at the end of the year.
Who you
Like,
picking?
Yeah, go with the Alex, Blake. Come on, stop.
Just pick
Stop
who the
I
fuck
BSing.
you
said
Let's
I'm
go,
picking.
going with the
baby.
Damn.
Elks. I'm going with the Elks because, like, I think that I don't trust Calgary. It would help BC,
You trust
but
the Alex, though, Blake? Oh my.
over Calgary, yes.
Hey, no. Hey, I don't blame you because we're going different, and also you do make some decent points, but at the end of the day, they're the Edmonton Elks,
Coach,
Blake.
who are you going
At
with?
Yeah, this is
at
what they
every
do. They
turn,
get
at
eliminated
every
from the
turn, they
playoffs and
disappoint.
then they
Blake,
win games.
no, at every turn, Blake, they disappoint. They disappoint. I
They
know you guys hate
probably
this.
will. You're probably gonna win the pick'em this year.
I know you guys hate to hear this. The name, they're cursed. I'll move it on.
All right. I'm going with the Elks.
Idiot.
Back-to-back losses for coach.
Fuck
Shane,
you.
Part of me wants to go with Edmonton here,
What the fuck are you talking about?
just so I can I
What the fuck?
just
Really?
so I can break even with coach. Because no matter what happens, I'll have that one game. I don't want to risk that one game. But
but
I don't trust
You
Edmonton to
bitch.
win when Calgary still has
Shane,
something
yeah,
to
come
play
on,
for.
Shane.
That's a Shane dick move right there.
That's
he
smart. What are you
took
talking about?
Calgary.
That is
That's a great
smart. That's a smart move to go
Let's
with.
just
If
look
you're
at it.
losing by
This is
one,
the
just go.
evil.
Last week I have nothing to lose. But no, I'm gonna go Calgary because again Calgary still has something to play for.
Dude, okay, last thing on Calgary. How did Jalen Hutchinson not get nominated for them? That is
Oh, most outstanding defensive player.
absurd. He was their best player, in my opinion, by maybe I shouldn't say far because VA had pretty good season, but Jalen Hutchinson's was like I feel like half the reason why they kind of came out of nowhere essentially.
Can we also give our respect to Jalen Philpott for getting the Canadian nomination? He's not gonna be the West nominee because it's gonna come. It's probably gonna be Nathan Rourke for outstanding Canadian as well as MLP. But both Philpotts, I think we can officially say, have fully arrived on the scene. Like
Yeah.
Tyson was already here, but this was kind of Jalen's coming out season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I
Just
could
staying
So
healthy.
first game on Saturday, Montreal, Winnipeg. This is what I'm gonna say. None of us have used our switches.
I know this is such a hard game, but Shane, I want you to go first.
So this might be a game where we look at it like, oh, I'm gonna throw my switch in here, depending on what happens. Because realistically, all what happens Friday can depend on the outcome of these two Saturday games.
And Jason Moss already said that his lineup's gonna stay the same mostly, except for a few names that'll be game time decisions, which you would think will be Davis Alexander,
See,
Tyson
I don't
Philpott,
see,
Beverett, names like that.
I don't think so because like Davis has already played, like he's missed a significant amount of time. You probably want to get him his reps before the playoffs.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go Montreal here because I don't trust Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg, if it's Kolaros, if it's Traveler against almost a fully healthy Montreal team, I don't see them winning.
Mm.
I agree with you, Shane. This might be the game we switch, but I think
God.
I'm gonna go with the Blue Bombers. Like I just
Wow.
This motherfucker
Okay.
here.
yeah, no, I just think that like we've all picked Hamilton to win on Friday. So this game is not going to mean anything for the Alouettes, and they're not going to get a bye obviously if Hamilton wins. They're going to want to rest some key starters. Now, I will say the caveat on that is Winnipeg might do that too because like I mentioned earlier, Calgary's game could determine that Winnipeg is going to Montreal or Hamilton no matter what. But I just think the Blue Bombers will start more than the Alouettes will, and that'll be the difference in the game.
Mm.
Sorry, I don't know what happens if Montreal and Hamilton wins. Hamilton gets first.
Hamilton still gets it. They have
Hamilton
the
has
tiebreaker.
the season series.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
2-1 against them this year, so it doesn't matter.
2-0,
Like,
wasn't it?
pardon?
Wasn't it 2-0? Didn't they only play twice?
I haven't pulled up.
I'm also gonna go with Montreal. It is tough because Blake does make some good points of Hamilton winning, Montreal really not having much to
it
play
was
for.
2-0, so.
But at the end of the day, I think these two teams obviously it'll be a rematch. They'll play again in the East semifinal the very following week. Is this game in Montreal or Winnipeg?
It's in Winnipeg.
So obviously it'll be just in Montreal. I'm gonna at the end of the day take Montreal. I just feel like they'll hopefully be able to be the better team, and I don't know what's happened to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but maybe this is kind of their final hurrah of 2025 of to
So,
send their fans out on a
Cole,
positive at
we have
home
a
date.
bit of a problem. We technically could still finish tied,
I know. I already kind of, especially because of the next pick.
but Coach, who you got in this game?
I got Montreal. Fuck all that.
But and then last game of the regular season.
I'm assuming
Blake.
Coach is going to go with Saskatchewan here, and then the rest of us are going to go BC.
Blake's wearing green. I don't know, Blake. I'm gonna offer you Saskatchewan at a very, very hot rate. If you'd like to take it, it's very.
Absolutely not.
Are you sure? You're wearing
Absolutely.
green. You're wearing green.
It's for Prince Albert Raiders. It's not the Riders.
Oh my God, this guy's got a Saskatchewan shirt on too. How do you not go the Riders, dude? Oh my God, Blake, just go, bro. Go the Riders, dude. Go the Riders.
No,
You
they're
want.
gonna sit. I will be interested. I will say I'll
Dude,
be interested to see what happened, like what kind of roster the Riders put out, because I know in practice all week they've had the starting O line out. Trevor Harris has been taking first team reps, but there's a lot of names still on that injury list. Robustelli, Milligan, I believe Keyshawn Johnson's still on there, like some of the linebackers. So I think the most likely scenario is the Riders play guys like Harris, the starting O-line, Dante Myers, for example, in the first half, and then they pull them. But the Lions, I mean, obviously they have everything to play for. They're going to want that home playoff game. So even if the Riders are up at half, I think the Lions are going to have enough to pull it out at the end.
I got BC as well.
So, Coach, who are you going for?
I'm going BC.
Okay, last thing. How late can we change our picks?
That's what I want to know.
I think you probably got to go like at least an hour before kickoff.
An hour before kickoff.
Okay, that's fair.
Hey. Stay tuned Saturday afternoon.
Yo, that Friday night game might be swapped though. I might just say screw it and go with them.
This
What,
motherfucker
the
here
Calgary
don't want to get third.
I'll see how I'm feeling Friday.
Shane, remember to post them this week so that.
Yeah, I know.
But
Oh,
Shane,
I
who
can't
do you
believe it,
got?
boys.
Lions?
The regular season
Yeah, I think
finale.
Lions.
What the heck? Where did the regular
Maybe
season
I'll
go,
just
We
man?
have a
throw
little
in.
bit of fun with the choices.
It looks like the last 6 games of the season will be, I mean, for Cole and I especially, it looks like the last 6 games of the season will be Montreal, like including playoffs, will be Montreal, BC, Hamilton, Saskatchewan, and then Winnipeg for the Grey Cup. Like, but it's crazy. The Toronto Argonauts, I know we don't have to rehatch that, but won't have a home playoff game for like 10 months. But
They won't have a home game for
home game,
almost a
sorry,
year.
not home playoff game.
Like yeah,
home
they're
game.
not. Their last home game till
Was
sometime
like 2
in
weeks ago,
August, I
wasn't
would
it?
assume. Was
It'll be till, well, the World Cup is July 8th. That's the
yeah, but
final, right? So you'd have to think like 2 weeks after that. So it'll probably be the end of July before the Argos get a home game next year.
And
well,
still won't
yeah, because
sell
I think
out.
their last game is like July 2nd, or at least that's on the schedule. Is like the last game in Toronto is July 2nd.
Is that like a quarter or a round of 6? That's probably a quarter
I think it's
final.
around 16.
I feel like that's a quarterfinal because I feel like that'd be a too quick of a turnaround.
They only
If
have 6 games between the start and like they have and it's like 4
I
games.
know, but
in
if the
2 weeks.
finals on July 8th, like you're saying, the team that wins is going to play 4 games in 6 days.
Let me pull it up. It might be a quarterfinal. I don't remember.
That has to be a quarter.
Let me.
Anyways, boys, I'm gonna skedaddle though.
All right, I gotta head out too. I got things.
Cole,
can't
when can we see the interview tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna record with head coach of the Okanagan Sun, Travis Miller.
Tell
tonight.
Coach Miller I say bring it
Good
back
luck.
to BC.
I will most definitely.
Come back to Ontario.
I will pass along the message as I have been constantly. It's unfortunate, actually. I wanted to try to make it work with St. Clair's head coach. I actually was in communication with him via social media, but just due to his schedule, they're actually leaving, I think, Windsor tonight at like some ridiculous.
make
Yeah,
sense.
they're leaving Windsor tonight at 1 a.m., I believe, to come out here. So obviously, as I mentioned, home field advantage will play a huge factor into Okanagan's favor. As you guys know, big CFL fan, but obviously with working with the conference this year, I would encourage you guys, if you guys are bored, if you guys do want to check out other Canadian football, BCFC TV or CJFL TV, I think will be this week actually for the
Check out the
CJFL
PFC
semifinal.
final as well. But
Right, and then the PFC final with Regina and Saskatchewan. I will take my picks. I don't know if we're doing that, but I'll go with Regina, Okanagan, and we'll see what happens next week. But anyways, boys, I can't believe this is it for the regular season. Obviously, we'll be back for the playoffs, correct, Shane? All 3 weeks.
Yep.
So we ain't going anywhere, but it is bittersweet, as I mentioned. But boys, coach, get home
I'm
safe,
outta
and remember, Nathan Rourke for MLP, baby.
Fuck you.
See,
Bye.
Cole. Coach, did you before you leave, did you win last week?
Hell no, we got into a fight.
What?
I'll tell you the details offline. Just hit me. But I gotta get up out of here, y'all.
Yeah, have a good night.
We'll talk later, Coach.
All right, talk.
Did you find it, Shane? Is it a quarter?
Finish, no, the final's on July 19th. So yeah,
really? That late?
Yeah, so Toronto's last game, according to the schedule they've posted, is July 2nd. It's a round of 32.
Okay, so I would think 2 weeks
Vancouver
at
has a round
least.
of 16 game, and that's July 7th.
So I would think at least 2 weeks. So it's going to be at the very least middle of July next year before the Argos get a home game.
At the earliest, because I know there's been a lot of reports of some games moving.
Yeah, with U.S. politics.
Yeah,
And
so we'll
we're a
see what
football
happens.
show. We don't have to get into that. But
No. Before we leave, do you want to quickly run over the award winners?
yeah, let's do it. You and I quickly.
So starting off with the George Reed Most Outstanding Player Award. In BC, it's Nathan Rourke. Edmonton, Justin Rankin. Calgary, Dedrick Mills. Saskatchewan, Trevor Harris. Winnipeg, Brady Oliveira. Hamilton, Bo Levi Mitchell. Toronto, Nick Arbuckle. Ottawa, Khalil Pimpleton. And Montreal, Davis Alexander.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory that it'll be Bo Levi Mitchell against Nathan Rourke on awards night.
I think so. If Arbuckle made the playoffs,
For sure.
you
But
probably
he
have an
didn't.
argument there.
Or,
Most
or
outstanding
if
Canadian.
he almost dragged the Argos into playoffs,
Yeah,
a la Bo Levi Mitchell last year, then we can have that conversation. But the Argos were never close. So
no. Most outstanding Canadian, Nathan Rourke for BC, Joel DeBlanco for Edmonton, Jalen Philpott for Calgary, AJ Allen for Saskatchewan, Brady Oliveira for Winnipeg, Mark Leggio for Hamilton.
I saw that.
Kind of shocking. I figured they might have gone with like
DeAndre Smith.
I always butcher his name, like his last name, but Kraft House, the safety.
Katsantonis.
Yes.
Starvos, yeah.
Maybe thought he would have been up there. Kevin Mattal for Toronto, Daniel Adeboboye for Ottawa, and Isaac Adeyemi Berglund for Montreal.
I think, I don't know about you, Shane, but I think it'll be, for Canadian, it'll be Rourke against Adeyemi Berglund.
I think there's a good chance. I think Mattel could kind of sneak in there. It's kind of hard
Maybe.
because like none of those guys in the East are really like runaway.
No, for sure.
But most outstanding defensive player, you got Matthew Betts for BC, Cordell Jackson for Edmonton, Clarence Hicks for Calgary, Jameer Thurman for Saskatchewan, Evan Holm for Winnipeg, Julian Hausware for Hamilton, Cameron Judge for Toronto, Jovan Santos Knox for Ottawa, and Isaac Adeyemi Berglund for Montreal.
Yeah, I think Adeyemi Berglund is probably the East nominee. But I might surprise you here a bit, Shane. I would actually go with Jameer Thurman over Matthew Betts. Like, I know recency bias might give it to Betts, but Thurman has had overall a better season.
Yeah, I would think that Thurman gets this one. Most outstanding offensive lineman, BC, it's Jarrell Broxton, David Beard out of Hamilton, Zach Williams in Calgary, Jamarcus Hardrick in Saskatchewan, Stanley Bryant for Winnipeg, Brandon Revenberg, Hamilton, Peter Castro, Toronto, Dino Boyd in Ottawa, and Justin Lawrence in Montreal. So I think this is kind of a toss-up. I don't really know.
Yeah,
I think Stanley's probably going to be the favorite.
I wouldn't say, like, I don't know enough about the linemen in the East to have any opinion, so I don't want to say who I think will be the CFL, like, the East nominee. But in the West, I think it definitely comes from the Prairies. It's either Hardrick or Bryant, probably Bryant, but
yeah, I think Revenberg is probably going to be Justin Lawrence. I think it's between Lawrence and Revenberg. I don't think Boyd gets it. I don't think Nicastro gets it. I think there's an argument for both Lawrence and Revenberg, but I would expect it to be Revenberg out of Hamilton and Stanley Bryant out of Winnipeg as your two finalists heading into the awards. Most outstanding special teams player, BC, it's Sean White. No shock there. Edmonton, I think honestly, I look at this list, it's probably the least shocking of any other list of the awards so far. BC, Sean White. Edmonton, Javon Leake. Calgary, Mark Vissette. Saskatchewan, Nick Weeb. Winnipeg, Trey Vaval. Hamilton, Mark Leggio. Toronto, Liam Hardilalu. Ottawa, Khalil Pimpleton, and Montreal, Jose Maltos Diaz.
I think it'll come down to the kickers. It'll be Maltos Diaz and Sean White. I know I saw Sean White after the awards last year, He's been the West nominee. If he does get the nominee 3 years in a row, he's lost the previous two. And even after last year, he had like a plus 90% percentage and didn't win. And he was already saying, like, what do I have to do to win this award? But
I think if there's
unfortunately for
anyone
you,
who
Sean,
can,
as much as I love you, I think you might lose the award again to Jose Malto
honestly, I wouldn't
CS.
be shocked if Vival knocks him. I think he could
He
easily
might.
be the nominee for the West too. And then most outstanding rookie, Robert Carter Jr. out of BC, Chanel Garnes for Edmonton, Chris Fortin out of Calgary. Kind of surprising, but I know Damian Alford had missed some time,
He was
probably
injured,
knocked it
yeah.
down a little bit. Saskatchewan has Peyton Collins. Winnipeg has Trey Vival. Hamilton is Devin Veresek. Toronto is Derek Sluka. Ottawa is Keelan White. And then Montreal's Travis Thies. I personally think it's going to be between Vival, Veresek, or Sluka. Any of those three guys. Like I think Veresek and Sluka are going to be one of those two will come from the East, and I think Vival, maybe Carter Jr. will be the guys out of the West.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, Cole and I debated it earlier in the show. Probably my Lions bias coming out, but I would say Carter, just because he has the 5 picks, he had his outstanding rookie moment, if you will, with the pick six last week. And he has arguably the highlight of the year with the one-handed interception. I know Vival has like 3 kick return touchdowns or missed field goals, but I would definitely agree. I would tend to lean Verisek for Hamilton, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think
And
Sluka and Veresek is
Shane,
kind of
that's all the award nominees, right? Like the
yeah.
so I know last year it was Halloween. Do you know when the East and West nominees will come out this year? Like the winners of the East and West?
October 30th.
Okay, so it's
So the
next.
Thursday.
Today's the 21st, so it'll be next Thursday,
Yeah, so
22nd today.
it
Sorry.
makes sense because it's usually the Thursday before the first playoff game,
Yeah, so it'll be
and
the
then
30. Yeah, so and then
we'll
of
start to
course the
see
awards
more
are
of
on the awards are on the 13th. Apparently $200 a pop. But we talked
yeah.
about Grey Cup stuff last week. We don't have to go into that again.
Yeah, we're actually going into Winnipeg on the 13th because we were looking at maybe going into the award
Yeah, I have
show,
some
but
news for you, but I'll tell it to you off air. But
yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you all for tuning into the last regular season episode of the CFL Weekly Show. We'll be back here next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for the playoffs preview with the East and West semifinals, as well as Canada Cup Canada Bowl preview, and then obviously U Sports playoff talk. Hope you guys having a great weekend of football. We'll see you here next week. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, follow button. Put notifications on so you never miss a live show. You can follow us on Facebook, 13th Man Sports, Instagram, 13th Man Football, Twitter or X, 13th Man Football. Have a good night. We will catch you here next week.
go Jays.